If you've never been on an 87 Johnson before, you're definitely going to want to hang out with me for the next 10 minutes. We just spent about 8 hours traveling offshore, catching up with the owner, going through $1.5 million in invoices. And I'm not talking operational cost or yearly upkeep. I'm talking improvements where it matters the most. I'm Sidney with Denison Yachting. Today we're on board Never Settle. She's an 87 Johnson delivered in 2005. We had the privilege of representing the owners in purchasing this yacht in 2021, and the things that they've done to it, night and day difference. I can't wait to show you what they did. The overall layout of this boat, starting from the exterior, I mean, we're talking Bill Dixon design. It's iconic. This is a model that they still make to this day, and that shows how timeless and creative he was in designing a yacht like this. Let me tell you right now why this 87 Johnson is second to none in her class. We even have to go a class above. Why? Her beam. 23 feet, 6 inches. A few boats she has beat: 100 Hargrave, 100 Hatteras, 100 Ocean Alexander. To get close to a beam like this, you gotta go up to a 112 Westport, which her beam in comparison to the 112 is just 3 inches shy of that boat. So what does that all mean? It's self-evident. I mean, we're standing in her enormous salon. This kind of internal volume carries out through all spaces of the boat, interior and exterior. Just got back from shooting offshore. Cool lurching over the shoulder. We find ourselves today here on the sun deck, which is obviously the preferred place to be. After all, you're on a boat. And if you love the sun, this is just one of the few spaces on board where you can catch some rays. You have this U-shaped settee right behind me. Of course, on this molded staircase, you have the stainless steel guardrail, which also has a cover if you have pets or smaller children. When you close that hatch, totally secure spot to be. You'll also notice there's no tender up here. This has a tender in the garage, which is very convenient and gives you the most of all the space here. Moving forward, of course, we have this grab-and-go fridge here on the port side, just to starboard, a Napoleon grill, storage underneath. Moving forward to the shaded portion of the sun deck, we have our alfresco dining table to starboard, just to port the wet bar, and up one step to the elevated helm, great spot to run the boat from. Alfresco dining area seats more than enough. We have a leaf that comes out the middle in case people have to access in and out. Also, beneath the table, we do have some cup holders in every corner. Just behind the seating area, very functional shade behind. The track runs throughout the entire 270 of this view. To port of the alfresco dining area, we have our fully serviced wet bar, 3 very nice stools. Under the lid, ice box. In terms of appliances, we do have a ice maker and refrigerator just aft. Normally, you'd just be serving off the front part, but this aft part allows you to serve the aft deck portion of the sun deck. Owner just had done a $300,000 electronic refit. This is where some of the money went. All the way to port of the helm, you have your forward-looking sonar, bow and stern thrusters, AB track stabilization monitor. Center line, we have the autopilot, throttles to starboard, and also the Fusion radio control, which is also powering the JBL audios above and also all the way on the aft portion of the sun deck. Last detail I'm going to point out here is this sliding door access to the wheelhouse, and we are going to come back here, but for now, we're going to cover the foredeck. When we sold this boat to the current owners in 21, this foredeck was hands down the deal closer for that. Me personally, what I love about this design is, of course, the wraparound windows on this deck and also the sun deck. Just beyond the lower set of windows here is the country kitchen on the main deck, and just above is the wheelhouse behind those windows. One step down here from the main deck, we have our anchor lockers on the port and starboard side and our 2 stainless steel windlasses. Picking back up on the transom, I'm now going to show you the swim platform. One of 3 things we're going to mention on this enormous swim platform. Just behind this door is service access to the machinery space where the rudders are. Center line, we have our tender garage, which ascends up. A stainless steel carriage rolls out and the tender deploys. Lastly, on the starboard side, the Glendenning cable coiled up here. Cable's only wrapped up on the deck here because we're about to plug in, but it is powered by Glendenning and retracts inside the boat. Up 5 steps from the transom, we find ourselves on the main deck through the boarding gate here. Just behind me, we have a lid that opens, which exposes the controls for the tender launch system. Just forward of that on the port side here, one of 2 aft deck controls for the yacht. U-shaped settee, alfresco dining table with a leaf center line, seats about 8 to 10 guests here. When you're seated here, either breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you do, of course, have some entertainment on the TV above. refrigeration. Moving aft on the starboard side here, we do have that second helm station with bow and stern thruster controls and deck hardware right beneath. Before we step inside, we'll make our way up the port side deck and access to crew quarters, which I'm going to show you next. Down these stairs, we find ourselves in the crew landing, which connects you to a few things, the 2 ensuite crew cabins and also the machinery space and crew mess. First, I want to show you the cabin over my shoulder where we have a bunk bed configuration and access to the ensuite. Making our way to the starboard side of the crew quarters, we have our common area, crew mess. Just beyond is the access to the other ensuite cabin, which is used as storage on this boat. Moving back midship, just behind me is the brand new washer and dryer that was installed a few months ago and access to the machinery space just forward. Moving a big boat like this from point A to point B requires some major effort, and these workhorse Caterpillar C32s make that so much easier. A few things to cover here in the machinery space. Outboard sides, port and starboard, you have your Northern Light generators. Just behind me, the distribution panel. On the port side here, brand new battery charger. Air handler was added into this engine room to cool it down a little bit. On the aft bulkhead there is the air conditioning rack where all new chillers were replaced. The water maker is there on that rack as well. Since we're in the underbelly, I have to mention last haul out period for this boat when they were of course going to do their yearly bottom, running gear, prop speed and stuff. They did discover a few blisters, but have no fear. These are the type of owners that said, hey, don't patch those up. They actually stripped down about 3 layers of fiberglass and put back 3 layers of fiberglass. So it's safe to say this boat has literally almost a brand new hull. About 11 years ago, I was at Marina Mile Yachting Center working on a boat, doing some grunt work at the shipyard, and this boat was actually in the haul out slip. Asked a representative at the yard if they could first allow me to get on this big boat I had no business being on, and secondly, take a picture of me on it. Fast forward to 2021, when I first sold the boat to the current owners, we are now full circle listing it for sale once again. Just using what we have in the salon as an example, I mean, brand new carpet, LED lighting throughout, all the hardware, knobs, fixtures replaced, headliners, the drapes, the soft goods. The owners of this boat, they were with this boat every step of the way. On the starboard side, we have an L-shaped sofa, which is custom, has a pull-out mattress, can sleep another 2 guests. And just above here on the starboard side, we have a 40-inch pop-down TV, used as a secondary TV. The primary one is centerline here, just past the formal dining. Moving forward to the salon, we of course have a beautiful formal dining table, seats 8. And just port of the formal dining area, we have our pop-up bar. Moving forward, have to highlight the importance and functionality of this main foyer. You have the wing door starboard side access to the day head. Just forward, we have the access to the VIP accommodation, also the owner's deck accommodation, distribution panel conveniently located to the steps up to the wheelhouse. And bending this corner, we will take a look at the galley. One of the hundreds of line items on the extensive refit list is this pocket door, which was custom made, and that brings us into the galley, which we'll cover next. Upon entering the galley, we have the second access into this space, brand new fridge, cooktop, dishwasher, garbage disposal, virtually all new appliances. I absolutely love this feature right here. It gives you the feel of having an atrium, but the functionality of it, you can get creative. You have a bunch of guests on board. You can easily pass trays from the galley up through the wheelhouse to the sun deck. Just forward of the galley, we find ourselves in the country kitchen. Earlier on the foredeck, we had touched on the defining feature that is beyond the glass, and that's what this space is. I'm sure you're already aware, but a country kitchen will always feature something similar to this U-shaped settee, high-low table with a leaf in the middle, and a observation dinette as well. Just on my starboard side here, we do have that main deck foyer that I mentioned earlier that leads down to the VIP accommodation. Before we have a look at that, we're gonna go take a look at the owner's accommodation below deck. I've showed you everything on this boat. Now we get to talk about the lower deck accommodations. We find ourselves here in the landing area for those accommodations. Just behind me, we'll go through the owner's suite. We talked a little bit about the beam. Where does it matter the most though? Right here in the owner's accommodation. Let's talk about storage in here. I mean, it's abundant. Cabinets, hanging lockers, underneath the bed, you name it, it's here. And we have to talk about this ensuite. You have an entrance on both the starboard and port side. Even in here, you still get that sense of internal volume and how much this boat offers. Moving forward to the landing area, we are now in the starboard guest cabin, which is also an ensuite, mirror, hanging locker, perfect for the kids. Directly across the hall on the port side, we have another cabin which used to have twin beds, but it was refit with this beautiful queen berth. Lots of natural light here. Of course, the headliners and wall coverings do complement that. The ensuite on the port accommodation here definitely deserves some extra attention. Reason being, you have a nanny door that gives you access to the VIP accommodation. There are two ways to enter the VIP accommodation. I just showed you the cool way, but the primary access is here on the starboard side. When you step inside, you obviously notice this is way different than the other cabins, reason being the lighter finishes, and the natural finish is complemented with the amount of natural light that pours into this VIP accommodation. To avoid any confusion, I wanted to remind you that the mirror behind me was the access from the other ensuite nanny door. This is the ensuite for this VIP accommodation. The last space we have to show you on today's walkthrough is the Wheelhouse, the most underrated, but yet the most functional. Brand new radar domes, all new MFDs, autopilot systems, AV systems throughout the boat, satellite internet. Just standing in this Wheelhouse, you get a true feel of what this boat is all about. It's, to me, the soul of this boat, how the exterior and the interior blends right in this space through these windows. We have covered so much ground today on the walkthrough of this boat. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I have a full extensive refit list. I'll put it in the listing as well, but it's best to talk about it over the phone. Feel free to call me. Thanks for watching.